Frederick Winslow Taylor was the American inventor and engineer who is known as the father of scientific management. His system of industrial management has influenced the development of virtually every country enjoying the benefit of modern industry. In this video, we will see his contributions. But before that, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it and don't forget to press the bell icon so that whenever I upload the new video, you get the notification. Now let's start the class. Taylor was born in March 20 in 1856 in a German town, Philadelphia, which is in Pennsylvania. The name of his father was Franklin Taylor. He was the son of a lawyer who built a wealth on mortgage. He entered Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire in 1872, where he led his class scholastically. After passing the entrance examination for Harvard, he was forced to abandon plans for matriculation. Why? Because his eyesight had deteriorated from the night study. So he has to drop his idea to go to Harvard. His treatment for the eyes started. In 1875, when his sight got normal, he was apprenticed to learn the trade of pattern maker and machinist at the Enterprise Hydraulic Work in Philadelphia. 3 years later, he went to the Madville Steel Company, where he started his career as a machine shop labor. Later on in the same organization, he became shop clerk, then machinist, then gang boss, then foreman, then maintenance foreman, then head of the drawing office, and then chief engineer. In 1881, at the age of 25, he introduced time study at the Madville plant. The profession of the time study was on the success of this project. The time study was also behind his theories on scientific management. Taylor always suggested that production efficiency in a shop or factory could be greatly enhanced by two ways. Number one, close observation of individual workers. Second, estimation of waste time and motion in his operation. Though the Taylor system provoked anger and opposition from the labor when carried out to extremes, but its value in rationalizing production was indisputable, and its impact on the development of mass production technique was immense. Taylor did not stop his studies. While studying at night, he earned a degree in mechanical engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology in 1883. The following year, he became the chief engineer at Madville plant and completed the design and construction of a novel machine shop. Taylor might have enjoyed a brilliant full-time career as an inventor. He had more than 40 patents to his credit. But his interest in what soon called scientific management led him to resign his post at Madville and to become a general manager of the Manufacturing Investment Company, where he worked from 1890 till 1893. This led him to develop a new profession, that of consulting engineer in management. He served a long list of prominent firms, ending with the Bethlehem Steel Corporation. Taylor retired at the age of 45 but continued to devote time and money to promote the principles of scientific management through lectures at universities and professional societies. On scientific management, he has written a book. The name of the book is Principles of Scientific Management, which was published commercially in 1911. Taylor has defined scientific management as a theory of management that analyzes and synchronizes workforce. Synchronizing workforce means interconnecting the workforce. Its main objective is improving economic efficiency and labor productivity. It was one of the earliest attempts to apply science to the production process and to the management. Considering himself a reformer, he continued expounding the ideas and principles of his systems of management until his death. If we see the contribution, we can say that Henry Fayol has given 5 principles, and these 5 principles is called the principles of scientific management. Let us see all these principles one by one. The first principle which he has given was science, not a rule of thumb. Listen, in order to increase organizational efficiency, the rule of thumb method should be substituted by the methods developed through scientific analysis of work. Listen, rule of thumb means decision taken by managers as per his personal judgment. Taylor insists that the decision should be based on scientific inquiry, cause and effect relationship. This principle is concerned with selecting the best way of performing a job through the application of scientific analysis and not on the basis of intuitions or by hit and try method. Clear? The second principle is harmony, not discard. Listen, Taylor emphasized that there should be a complete harmony between the workers and the management. Harmony means understanding. If there is any conflict between the two, it will not be beneficial either for the workers or for the management. Both the management and the workers should realize the importance of each other. It means that there should be complete change in the attitude and outlook of the workers and the management towards each other. It will always kept in mind that the profitability of the employer could not exist for a long time unless it is accompanied by the prosperity of the employee of that organization and vice versa. In short, this principle requires that there should be perfect understanding between the management and the workers, and both should feel that they are the part of the same joint family. The third principle is mental revolution. The technique of mental revolution involves a change in the attitude of workers and the management towards each other. Both should realize the importance of each other and should work with full cooperation. Later on, this third principle got merged in the second principle because more or less both are talking about the same thing. The fourth principle was coordination, not individualism. This principle is an extension of the principle of harmony, not discard, and lays stress on the mutual cooperation between the workers and the management. Taylor suggested that there should be a proper division of work and responsibility between the workers and the management. Management should always guide, encourage, and help the workers. Fifth principle, development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. What it means? It means efficiency of an organization depends on the skill and capabilities of its employees to a great extent. Thus, providing training to the workers was considered essential in order to learn the best method developed through the use of scientific approach. Taylor has given 6 techniques for the applicability of the 5 principles. Listen, the principles of scientific management only brings out the basic philosophy behind the theory. Now the question arises, how to implement these principles practically? Taylor has devised the following techniques for actually implementing the principles of scientific management. He has given 6 techniques. Let us see all these techniques. The first one is functional foremanship. Second technique is standardization of work. Third, simplification of work. Fourth, scientific study of work. Fifth, differential wage system or differential piece rate. And the sixth, mental evolution. We will discuss one by one these techniques. The first technique which we will discuss is the functional foremanship. Listen, Taylor has propounded the functional organization. This form of organization is totally based on the principle of specialization. In functional organization, work is divided into small parts and each part is assigned to an expert so that the benefits of specializations are availed. Taylor has suggested the division of work of factory into 2 sub-departments. It means that he has divided the entire work into 2 sub-departments. Let us see the name of these departments. First one is planning department and the second one is production department. 4 experts were appointed in each department. Let's see the specialist of planning department and their functions. In the planning department, we are having route clerk. This clerk ensures the sequence of completing the particular work. He determines the stages involved in the production. Second is instruction clerk. He gives instructions about the nature of the work, procedure of doing it, methods to be used, and the details about the machinery. The third expert is time and cost clerk. This clerk decides as to when a particular work is to be started and finished. They decide the time the whole work will be taken. Then comes the discipline officer. The discipline officer ensures that every work is being performed in a disciplined manner. Now let us see the specialist of the production department and their functions. The first one is gang boss. He is expected to ensure that both the workers and the machines are fit enough for production and that the material required for their use has been made available to them. The second one is speed boss. The main function of the speed boss is to ensure that all the works are performing their job at the required or expected speed. Then comes the repair boss. The main function of the repair boss is to keep all the machines and tools in working condition. Then comes the inspector. He inspects the things produced and compares the quality with the standard prescribed for them and tries to find out the differences. That is the first technique. Now let us see the second technique. The second technique is standardization of work. The workers are expected to do the standard amount of work every day. In the same manner, standard may be set for raw material, machines, tools, etc. so that the quality should be of standard nature. Now let's see the third technique, that is simplification. It means putting the end to the unnecessary type of quality, size, etc. The objectives of the simplification is effective economy in the use of machines. Second, bring down the labor cost. Third, affecting economy in the staff. If the work is simplified, the wastage will be minimized. So what is the main objective behind the simplification is that the chaos will not be there and the work should be done with minimum wastage and quickly it should be completed. The fourth technique is scientific study of work. Taylor emphasized that the following 4 studies should be conducted with the aim of producing maximum possible quality output. What was those study? Method study, motion study, time study, and fatigue study. Let us discuss all these studies which comes under scientific study of work. The first one is method study, which is go in detail. It refers to the most suitable way to do a particular activity. To conduct this study, process chart and the operation research techniques are used. Then comes the motion study. It refers to conducting the study of motion being performed by workers and machines. While doing the job, the movie camera is used to conduct this study. The main objective of this study is to eliminate the unnecessary motions. Then comes the time study. It refers to determine the standard time required to complete a particular activity. The standard time is determined on the basis of average time taken by the experienced of the same work. We consider our competitors and see the time period they are taking and accordingly we fix the time period. Then comes the fatigue study. It refers to determine the fatigue study. What it means, it refers to determine the duration and the frequency of rest intervals to complete a particular job. The rest refreshes the workers. They work again so that they can do the work again with full capacity. The main objective behind the fatigue study is to maintain the efficiency level of the workers. The fifth technique is differential wage system or differential piece system. Taylor has advised the adoption of the differential wage system in order to motivate the employees. Listen, according to this system, wages are paid on the basis of work done and not on the basis of the time spent in doing the job. In this system, 2 wage rates are used. First one, high wage rate, and second one, low wage rate. The last technique is the mental revolution. What it means, mental revolution calls for a change in the mindset of both employer and workers. We have to change their mentality. As per Taylor, a revolution in mindset of both the employee and the workers are required. Why? Because it will promote the feeling of cooperation and it will be beneficial to both the parties. That's all we have today. Thanks for watching. Meet you soon with a new video. Till then, God bless you all.